Okay, students. So we have discussed the lesson. In that, we discussed how to classify animals based on the presence or absence of vertebral column or the backbone. So under that, the two main groups, invertebrates and vertebrates. Then we discussed how the invertebrates can be classified as Cnidaria, Annelida, Arthropoda and Mollusca. The same way, the vertebrates can be classified as Pisces, Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves and Mammalia. So now I am going to discuss the questions given in your textbook first. So what should you all do? You have already listened to the discussion. You have to read the textbook again. If you have any doubts, again listen to the discussion and you have to answer the questions first. Then check with my discussion and see whether you have written all the correct answers. So I will start with the grade 8 unit 2 exercise. The first question, select the most suitable answer. So I have told you all before also, read the question carefully. Select the most suitable answer. That means there can be more than one answer which are similar, but you have to select the most suitable one. The first question, the group of animals not belonging to invertebrates. So you have to look at these terms, not belonging to invertebrates. So it should not be an invertebrate. We'll look at the answers. So Annelida is an invertebrate. So that's not the answer. What about Cnidaria? Cnidaria also doesn't have a backbone. So it's an invertebrate. Amphibia. Amphibia, the examples you know, toad, frog, salamander, they are all vertebrates. So that has a vertebral column. So it is not an invertebrate. We'll check the fourth answer, Arthropoda. Arthropoda also is an invertebrate. So what is the correct answer? It's amphibia. You have to read all the answers and select the most suitable one. Then the second one, the group with highest number of animals. That you know, group with highest number of animals. What is that? It is Arthropoda. And also under vertebrates we said mammals have a very high number of organisms. But the group that has the highest number of organisms is the Arthropoda. So Aves, no. Arthropoda, yes. Here there can be no confusion. It has to be Arthropoda. Mollusca is given. Mammalia is given. So I already told you all, Mammalia also has a very large number of organisms. But compared to that, Arthropoda has very high number of different organisms. So the group with the highest number of animals is Arthropoda. Then the third one, an animal belonging to Reptilia. The Reptilia group is an animal belonging to Reptilia group. First one, shark. What is a shark? It is a fish. Then you take the salamander. What is a salamander? It is an amphibian. Then what about a whale? Whale is a mammal. And turtle is a reptile. So, an animal belonging to Reptilia group is turtle. Shark is a fish, salamander is an amphibian, whale is a mammal and turtle is a reptile. So, an animal belonging to Reptilia group is turtle. Is that okay? Then I will move on to the next slide. So, here we have fill in the blanks. So, you have to fill in the blanks. Sea anemone belongs to blank group. What is the group? Cnidaria. Sea anemone belongs to Cnidaria group. Second one, possessing segmented appendages is a feature of the name jointed appendages, arthropoda. So possessing segmented appendages is a feature of arthropoda. Arthropoda group. Then the third one, blank breathe using lungs, wet skin and the mouth. That is specific only to amphibians. Amphibians have a very thin skin, so they have a moist, thin skin. They can respire through that. They have the lungs as well as they respire through mouth. So amphibians breathe using lungs, wet skin and the mouth. So were you all able to write the correct answers? I am sure you would have done that. Sea anemone belongs to Cnidaria group. Possessing segmented appendages is a feature of Arthropoda group. Amphibians breathe using lungs, wet skin and the mouth. Then the next one. Name the invertebrate group that bears each of the features given below. So some features are given to you. You have to write the relevant group. What is the first one? Muscular foot. Immediately you will remember the snail. So that is mollusca. You have to write the invertebrate group. So here we can say mollusca. Here you have to write the name of the group. So you can't write it as mollusk. You have to write it as mollusca. Worm-like segmented body. What are segmented worms? The annelids. So what is the group? Annelida. Annelida. Next one, jointed appendages. We discussed it before. Arthropoda, jointed appendages. So arthropoda. Arthropoda. Then we have radial symmetry. You know the meaning of radial symmetry. Many axes of symmetry. So they need to have a cylindrical like body. What are those? The Cnidarian. Cnidaria. Cnidaria. So muscular foot, mollusca. Worm-like segmented body, Annelida. Jointed appendages, Arthropoda and radial symmetry, Cnidaria. Is that okay? Did you all get it correctly? Yes. So then the next one. Write down the answers. Name 2 forms of Cnidaria with an example for each. So you have to write the 2 forms and you have to write an example for each one. What are the 2 forms? Polyps and Medusa. What is a polyp? The sedentary form. Medusa is the free living form. But you don't have to explain it here. You have to write as polyp. Examples of polyp, hydra and sea anemone. So they have asked only for one example. So we can write hydra. Then Medusa. Medusa. What is Medusa? Example, jellyfish. Free floating form. Jellyfish. So we have answered that question. Then another question. Name 4 arthropods that can fly. So you don't just write the arthropods, you have to write the arthropods that can fly. Can you think of the arthropods? What is the name given to the arthropods that can fly? They are insects. So what are the insects? We can write butterfly, dragonfly, then we can say mosquito, butterfly, dragonfly, mosquito, cockroach, You can even write beetle, any type of beetle. So, any insect that can fly. So, are these correct? I have written butterfly, dragonfly, mosquito and cockroach. So, name 4 arthropods that can fly. So, with that, I will move on to the next question. Give 3 basic features of mammalia. Basic features. Why do we call them mammalia or mammals? What is the reason? Because they have a mammary gland. So, basic features. So, first one I will say possess mammary glands. What else? They have many other features. They have an external ear with an earlobe. That is also a special feature. So, they have or possess external ear with an earlobe. That is another feature. What else? In addition to the mammary glands, what do they have? They have hair on skin. So, we can write that as well. Have hair on skin, or skin has hair. They have told us to write 3 basic features of mammalia. We have written 3. Did you all write anything differently? You can. What are those? You can say they have sebaceous glands, they have sweat glands on the skin. What else? They feed their young with milk, or they nourish their young with milk, or the young animals feed on mother's milk. All these are basic features of mammalia. So, I have written 3. Possess mammary glands, possess external ear with an earlobe, have hair on skin. In addition to that, you can say have sweat glands and have sebaceous glands. Also, they feed on the mother's milk. So, all these are different basic features of mammalia. Then the next one. Give 3 basic features of aves. He also 3 basic features of aves. Now here, can you write the respiration by lungs? No, because mammals also show respiration by lungs. Aves also show respiration by lungs. So, it's not a basic feature. Same way, you can't say they have a vertebral column or a backbone, because all these groups, fishes, reptiles, amphibians, birds and mammals, all of them have a vertebral column. So, we can't write that also. So, give 3 basic features of aves. What can you say? They are well adapted for flying. So, what do they have? Their body is covered with feathers. So, body covered with feathers. What else? Their forelimbs are adapted as wings. The forelimbs becomes wings so that they can fly. So, forelimbs become, or we can say modified as wings. Then what else? They have no teeth in their beak. So again 3 basic features. No teeth in their beak. And also the beaks are adapted for different types of food. So that also you can write. What else can you say? Now, can you all say they have a streamlined body shape? Is that a basic feature? It is a feature of aves, birds, but that is common to both aves as well as fishes. So, there it's a common property. So, always students, when you all write answers, it's better to, unless they ask you for the common property. Or if they say write all the properties, you have to write all the properties. But when they say basic properties or 3 special properties, try to write the properties that are only there for that group of animals, not a common property. Is that okay? With that, I have finished the questions given in your textbook. So, that is not enough for practice. So, now I am going to discuss some extra questions with you all. So, I will move on to that. Extra question 1. Select the most suitable answer. Here again, select the most suitable answer. Select the answer that contains only amphibians. Note this term, only amphibians. So, there can be an answer where one animal is an amphibian. The other one will be different. So, it has to be, now here you can see two animals. So, both of them have to be amphibians. So, we look at the first one. Tuna, it's a fish. Snail is a mollusk. So, no. Then toad is an amphibian. Salamander is also an amphibian. So, both these are correct. What about the crocodile? Now, crocodile is a reptile. Scorpion, what is a scorpion? It is an arthropod. Swan, again it's aves or bird. And lion is a mammal. So, here what is the question? Contains only amphibian. So, it has to be toad and salamander. Toad and salamander are amphibians. Second one, characteristic feature of aves. So, characteristic feature of aves. First answer, streamlined body shape. Now, what did I tell you all? The streamlined body shape is common to both fishes and birds. So, it is not a characteristic feature of aves. So, that is not the answer. Then use lungs for breathing. They do. But again, I told you the reptiles use lungs for breathing, mammals use lungs for breathing, and the birds also use lungs for breathing. So, that is also not a characteristic feature of aves. Do not have teeth in the beaks. That is of course characteristic. Now, mammals we have teeth. Reptiles have teeth. But birds, they don't have teeth in their beak. So, do not have teeth in the beak. That's correct. Possess dry skin. Birds have dry skin. That's correct. But the reptiles also have dry skin. So, then that is also not a characteristic feature of aves. So, out of these 4, do not have teeth in the beaks is the characteristic features of aves. Do you all understand that? Okay. So, the next one. Group that doesn't belong to vertebrate. So, always look at the question closely. Doesn't belong to vertebrate. So, it should not be a vertebrate. Mollusca, that is an invertebrate. So, that's a correct answer. Aves has a backbone, vertebrate. Pisces has a backbone, vertebrate. Reptilia is also vertebrate. So, from these you can see Mollusca is the group that does not have, or the group that doesn't belong to vertebrates. Doesn't belong to vertebrates is mollusk. Then the next one, group that shows radial symmetry. You know what radial symmetry is? There are many axes of symmetry. And out of all the groups, you can remember. What is the group with radial symmetry? Group Cnidaria. So, let's look at the answers. Amphibia? No. Mollusca? Mollusca has bilateral symmetry. Arthropoda? Bilateral symmetry. Cnidaria has radial symmetry. So, Cnidaria has the radial symmetry. All the others have bilateral symmetry. So, with that, I will move on to the next one. A common feature of birds and fishes. So, here you have to look at the question. A common feature of birds and fishes. So, immediately you can relate the feature. Yes, covered with feathers, that is only for birds, only birds. Has fins, only the fish. Possess gills, that also only fish. Have a streamlined body, that is for both birds and fishes. So here of course students, you don't have to write and show. I just showed you so that when you are practicing, you can do that. Then you remember more. When you write, when you understand all the answers, you get more knowledge, you remember more. So that is why I have written. You can do it that way also, just to show you. Okay. But this is the correct answer. A common feature of birds and fishes have a streamlined body. Then the next one. That is the sixth question. Structure present in cnidarians for protection. Structure present in cnidarians for protection. Look at the question carefully. Tentacles. Now, why do they have tentacles? If you remember, I explained, they use their tentacles to catch their prey. When they are moving around, when small prey, small organisms pass by, they catch it using their tentacles. So, that is not for protection. Then exoskeleton, they don't have an exoskeleton. So, then they have the cnidocytes. What are the cnidocytes? Those are the organelles present at the tip of the tentacles, and that has two functions. One thing, they secrete the poisonous substance, that is to cripple the prey. And also they secrete the same poisonous substance against their predators. So that is there for two purposes. One is to catch the prey and for protection. Then if we look at the fourth one, vertebral column. Vertebral column is not there for cnidarians. So what is the correct answer? Structure present in cnidarians for protection is the cnidocytes. Is that clear to you all? Then I will move on to the next one. So this is extra question 2. Here you have to write the answers. What is meant by animal classification? What is animal classification? Grouping animals in a systematic manner based on their common features. That is known as animal classification. So that is what you have to write here. Grouping animals in a systematic manner based on their common features, or you can say characteristics. Here I will say features, is known as animal classification. So, if you are supposed to write short answers, you can just give the explanation. Grouping animals in a systematic manner based on their common features is enough. But to complete the sentence, you can say is known as animal classification. Grouping of animals is better. Grouping of animals in a systematic manner based on their common features is known as animal classification. That is the answer for the first one. Then the second one. What are the two main groups of animals. What are the two main groups of animals? Invertebrates and vertebrates. There's no confusion there, no. Invertebrates and vertebrates. Invertebrates and vertebrates, the two main groups. Then the next one. Extra question 3. Write examples of cnidarians. What are the examples of cnidarians? We have studied 3 examples. What are they? Hydra, sea anemone, and jellyfish. Those are the examples of cnidarians. Then write another name for cnidarians. This I have mentioned to you before. Cnidarians are known as Coelenterata. So this is Coelenterata. Coelenterata or Coelenterates. Group is called as Coelenterata. The animals are known as Coelenterates. So another name for cnidarians. So here then I can say Coelenterates. Since they have asked cnidarians, I will say Coelenterates. Then we have the next question. Write the two body forms of cnidarians. What are the two body forms? A very direct question. Polyp and medusa. Then write two features of cnidarians. Two features of cnidarians. You all know many features, but we have to write two features. What is the first feature that you can write? Their body is radially symmetrical, or they possess radially symmetric body. Then what else? They have two body forms that we have written it here. Then they have cnidocytes present in their tentacles. So that is also something. You can say cnidocytes present in tentacles. So here they have asked write two features. So you can also say they have the polyp and medusa two body forms. You can also say they are predators. So all those can be written here. Now I have written possess radially symmetric body and cnidocytes present in tentacles. So with that I will move on to the next one. That is extra question 4. So here you are given a diagram. Label the parts of the body form of cnidarian given below. So as you look at it, you know it is the body form of Hydra, which is a polyp. So you have to label the parts. The two parts are shown to you. What is this part? This is the mouth. And what is this? This is the tentacle. So that is what you have to label here. Is that correct? Okay. Then I will move on to the next one. Extra question 5. Write the organisms that belong to group Annelida. What are the organisms that belong to group Annelida? You can remember the examples. Earthworm, then leech, and also Nereis. So Nereis, you all know, is the scientific name. So normally when it is printed in italics. There are rules for writing scientific names which you have not discussed yet. So we will just write the example as Nereis. So with that, I will move on to the second question. Why are annelids called segmented worms? So segmented worms. Why do we call them segmented worms? Because their body is made up of segments. Because their body is made up of segments. Segmented worm. Then the third one, label the parts of the annelid shown below. So, looking at the picture, you know it is an earthworm and there are three parts that have to be labeled. What is this? This is the mouth and these are the segments and this is the anus. So, you can do that, no? You can answer the questions, you can label the diagrams. Is it clear to you all? Okay then, I will move on to the next one. Extra question 6. Answer the questions based on the animal group Mollusca. So this is another group. Mollusca is an invertebrate group. You can remember that they don't have a vertebral column or a backbone. What type of body do they have? That's the first question. What type of body? What are they? They are soft-bodied animals. So they have a very soft body. So what type of body do they have? They have soft body. What type of skin do they have? They have skin moistened with mucus. So here you can say skin moistened with mucus. Then write 2 features not mentioned above. So we have already said they have a very soft body and their skin is moistened with mucus. So write 2 features not mentioned above. What can you write? They have bilaterally symmetric body. So, or they can say they have bilaterally symmetric body. What else can you say? They have a muscular foot. Possess muscular foot. And also here they have asked 2 features. You can also say some of them have shells. Some mollusks have shells. So like that you can write the answers. With that I will move on to the next one. Extra question 7. Label the parts of the body form of mollusk given below. Now here you can look at the spelling here children. Mollusk, M-O-L-L-U-S-K. You can remember when we write mollusca, M-O-L-L-U-S-C-A. That is the name of the group. But when we refer to the animals, we can say mollusks. That is M-O-L-L-U-S-C or S-K. That is okay when you refer to the animal. But when you refer to the group, you have to write the same spelling. So here what is this? This is a snail. You can see this is the shell of the snail. Then this is the antenna. This is the mouth. And that is the muscular foot. So I am sure you were also able to label all these parts correctly. With that, I will move on to the next one. Extra question 8. Write the name of the group that contains the highest number of animals. Highest number of animals. You know that. What is the group? Arthropoda. So you have to write Arthropoda here. Arthropoda. What is the meaning of the term arthropoda? What is arthro? Jointed. Poda, appendages. So, jointed appendages. You don't have to write everything in sentences. You have to write the correct answer that is relevant to the question. So, term arthropoda, jointed appendages. Then what do we have here? Label the parts of the body form of insect given below. You know this insect, you know it's a cockroach. So, we have to label the body parts. What is this part marked here? Those are the eyes of insect. Then what is this? This is the antenna. What is this? It is the wings. And here we have the jointed appendages. Jointed appendage. So those are the parts of the body form of the insect. I am sure you were also able to label them correctly. So with that, I will move on to the next one. Extra question 9. Write the main vertebrate groups based on scientific classification. So the main vertebrate groups. Animals with the vertebral column, you have to write the main vertebrate groups. I am sure you have already done it. Fishes, amphibia, reptilia, aves, and mammalia. Did you all write it correctly? Yes. Fishes, amphibia, reptilia, aves, and mammalia. Then the next one. Write the name of the group that contains fishes. The group that contains fishes. What is it? It is fishes. Fishes. So, very direct answer. If you study all the groups properly, you will be able to answer all these questions very easily. With that, the next question. Extra question 10. Write some animals that belong to group amphibia. Belong to the group amphibia. What are the animals you can think of? You can write frog, toad, salamander. You can also write ichthyophis. But again, you can remember ichthyophis, the name is a scientific name. So, when it is printed in italics. So, this is the answer for this question. Write some animals that belong to the group amphibia. Then the next one. Write 2 features of amphibians. So, we have to write 2 features of amphibians. What are the 2 features you can write? They undergo metamorphosis. Undergo metamorphosis. Metamorphosis. What else? They have a thin, moist, glandular skin. So, they have a thin, moist, glandular skin. What else can you write? They don't have scales on skin. They use their limbs for locomotion. So, all those can be given as features of amphibians. So, I have written these 2 undergo metamorphosis and they have a thin, moist, glandular skin. Also, they respire by lungs, mouth as well as the skin. So, that also can be written as a feature of amphibians. Then the next one. The next question, what is meant by metamorphosis? What is meant by metamorphosis? The different stages of the life cycle of an animal shows distinctly different features. and there is a change taking place. So that process is known as metamorphosis. So what is meant by metamorphosis? Distinct change taking place between the different stages of the organism. Stages of an animal. So here students, I have just explained what metamorphosis is. You will be discussing what metamorphosis is in a different unit. Then the next one, write the stages of the life cycle of a frog. What are the stages of a life cycle of a frog? There are three main stages. So there is the adult frog that lays eggs and that hatches to form the tadpole. So here they have just asked the stages of the life cycle. So you don't have to show it as a cycle. Adult frog, eggs and the tadpole are the stages. Then you can remember there is a tadpole with legs or limbs as well as the young frog. All those are there. But these are the main stages of the life cycle of a frog. So with that, I will move on to the next one. Extra question 11. Write the name of the group that contains reptiles. So when we say reptiles, the name of the group is Reptilia. Reptiles are present in the group Reptilia. Write examples for reptiles. You can write many examples. What can you write? You can write crocodile. You can write the cobra, python, then monitor, then you can write even crate, any type of lizard. All those can be written as examples for reptiles. Iguana, all those are different types of reptiles. Then the next one, write examples for reptiles. You can write any number, that is okay. So then we have the next one, how do reptiles differ from other animals? How do they differ from other animals? What is the speciality? They have dry skins, or they possess dry skin with scales. That is a special property of reptiles. So they possess dry skin with scales. You can't right now. Here they have asked for how do they differ from other animals. So lungs is a common feature to reptiles, aves and mammals. Then having limbs is common to many of the animals. So if it is how they differ, that is by this property. They possess dry skin with scales. So with that, I will move on to the next one, extra question 12. What is the vertebrate group of birds? What is the vertebrate group of birds? It is aves. Write two birds that cannot fly. Two birds that cannot fly. You can think of many birds. We have discussed ostrich, then cassowary, there is the kiwi, emu, rhea. So any of those can be written here. So I will write ostrich and kiwi. In addition to that, you can also write cassowary, emu, rhea, penguin. You can even write the penguin. Write two birds that cannot fly. Flightlets birds. Then the next one, extra question 30. Mark the sentences given below as correct or false. So you have to put right or wrong there. Snail is an amphibian. Is that correct? No. Why? Snail is a mollusk. So this is wrong. Then fishes are vertebrates. That is of course correct. Fishes are vertebrates. That is the first group that we discuss under vertebrates. Earthworm belongs to the group Mollusca. What is the group of earthworm? It is Annelida. So that is also wrong. Highest number of animal species belong to the group Mammalia. Now this is a tricky one. Mammalia also has a large number of species, but the highest number of species belong to the group Arthropoda. So this is also wrong. Bat is a bird. Is it a bird? It is a mammal. So that is also wrong. Then the sixth one. Mammals are animals that feed on mother's milk. Mammals are animals that feed on mother's milk. That is correct. Then there are teeth in the beak of birds. Do the beaks have teeth? No. That is a special feature of birds. They have the beaks, but there are no teeth on beaks. And the eighth one, 4 limbs of birds are converted to wings. That is of course is correct. So 4 limbs of birds are converted to wings. So is this okay? Did you all get it correctly? I am sure you did. So with that, I will move on to the next one. Extra question 40. Select the most suitable answer from within the brackets and fill in the blanks. So there you can see 2 answers are given for each sentence. So we'll start with the first one. Leech belongs to the group Annelida or Cnidaria. Leech belongs to the group Annelida. So it is Annelida. Second one, blank have external skeleton and externally segmented body. Look at the answers. Mammals, do they have an external skeleton? We don't have. So mammals don't have external skeleton and no externally segmented body. Arthropods, yes. You can think of the examples. So arthropods have external skeleton and externally segmented body. Then the third one, animals that are adapted to fly blank to the group aves. Belong or do not belong. Animals that are adapted to fly are the birds and they belong to the group aves. So they belong to the group aves. Then we have the next question. Animals that have dry skin with scales and use lungs for respiration belong to the group Reptilia or Pisces. They belong to the group Reptilia. Dry skin with scales is a special feature of Reptilia and also they respire by lungs. So Reptilia. Reptilia. Then next one. Blank have radially symmetrical body. Radially symmetric, you know it's Cnidarian. So Cnidarian mollusk, it has to be Cnidarians. Cnidarians have radially symmetrical body. Then the next one. Tortoise is a or an. Vertebrate, invertebrate. What is a tortoise? Tortoise is a reptile. So it is a vertebrate. It has a vertebral column. So it is a vertebrate. Tortoise is, so we don't need the N, vertebrate. Now if it had been tortoise is an invertebrate. Since we didn't have that only, that is why they have given this A and N. A vertebrate and invertebrate. So here the answer is tortoise is a vertebrate. Then the next one. Blank is a reptile that is adapted for crawling. There are some which are limbless reptiles and they can crawl. What is it? Snake or centipede? Snake is a reptile that is adapted for crawling. But what about the centipede? Centipede is actually an arthropod. So here it is snake. Snake is a reptile that is adapted for crawling. And the next one, fishes use blank for respiration. What do they use? They use lungs or gills. They use gills for respiration. So, fishes use gills for respiration. So, fishes use gills for respiration. Then the next one is an animal that possesses an external ear. External ear is a special feature of mammals. So, bat, parrot. Bat is a mammal, parrot is a bird. So, bat is an animal that possesses an external ear. Then the 10th one is a bird that possesses wings but cannot fly. So, ostrich, hen both are birds, they both have wings. Hen can fly, ostrich can't fly. So, ostrich is a bird that possesses wings but cannot fly. Now, are these sentences correct? Did you get them correctly? Were you able to select the answer correctly? I am sure you were. So, leech belongs to the group Annelida. Arthropods have external skeleton and externally segmented body. Animals that are adapted to fly belong to the group Aves. Animals that have dry skin with scales and use lungs for respiration belong to the group Reptilia. Cnidarians have radially symmetrical body. Tortoise is a vertebrate. Snake is a reptile that is adapted for crawling. Fishes use gills for respiration. Bat is an animal that possesses an external ear. Ostrich is a bird that possesses wings but cannot fly. So that is how you complete these answers. With that, I will move on to the next question, extra question 15. Select the most suitable answer from the given list for the statements given below. So the answers are Annelida, Aves, Mollusca, Pisces, Mammalia, Arthropoda, Cnidaria, Amphibia and Reptilia. All the vertebrate and invertebrate groups of animals. So sedentary and free-floating body forms. What group has sedentary and free-floating body forms? It's Medusa. So that it belongs to group Cnidaria. Cnidaria. Then externally segmented body. You all should know it is Arthropoda. Now here of course students, there is nothing to think and write. You have to know the special characteristics of all the groups. So immediately you should know what group that is. Dry skin with scales, we have discussed it many times. Reptilia. Reptilia. Then external earlobes, you know it has to be Mammalia. Segmented vermiform body, Annelida. Annelida. Fins and scales, it's Pisces. Muscular foot, Mollusca. Metamorphosis, what shows metamorphosis? Amphibians, you can remember frog. Amphibia. Streamlined body covered with feathers. You know two groups have streamlined body, fishes and birds. But covered with feathers means birds. Aves. And the last one, hair on skin. That is a special feature of Mammalia. So, Mammalia. Sedentary and free-floating body forms, Cnidaria. Externally segmented body, Arthropoda. Dry skin with scales, Reptilia. External earlobes, Mammalia. Segmented vermiform body, Annelida. Fins and scale species, muscular foot mollusca. Metamorphosis, Amphibia. Streamlined body covered with feathers, Aves. And hair on skin, Mammalia. So these are features you all have to remember, students. These are all specific features of all these groups. So I am sure you were able to write them correctly. So with that, the next question, extra question 16, write 2 features of mammals. 2 features of mammals. What are they? Presence of mammary glands, presence of hair on skin, presence of sebaceous gland, sweat gland, or here you can even say they nourish their young with milk, external earlobes. You can write any 2 features. So here I will say they nourish their young with milk. What else? We can say sweat glands and sebaceous glands present in skin. What else do we have? Write 2 features that separate mammals from other animals. Write 2 features that separate mammals from other animals. What about the mammary glands? The other animals don't have. That is a special feature. Presence of external earlobe. That is also a special feature. Even the hair. So you can write any 2. So here write 2 features that separate mammals from other animals. Presence of mammary glands. Now when we say presence of mammary glands, students, you have to remember it's only present in the female animals. But that is a special feature. But the other features are common to both male and female animals and the young ones. So presence of mammary glands. Then I will say presence of external earlobe. So these are all features that separate mammals from other animals. Is that okay for you all? Did you all understand it? So the questions, write 2 features of mammals. So I have written here, nourish their young with milk, sweat glands and sebaceous glands. Sebaceous glands are present in skin. And then the second one, write 2 features that separate mammals from other animals. Presence of mammary glands and presence of external earlobe. So those are the answers to these questions. I am sure you were able to answer them. With that, I will move on to the next one. Extra question 17. What are vertebrates? What are vertebrates? Animals that have a vertebral column or they possess a backbone. Animals that have a vertebral column or you can say backbone. Now here students, for you all to practice and remember it, I am writing both the terms. You can just write either vertebral column or the backbone only. That is fine. Write the 4 main groups of invertebrates. That's the next question. Now here you have to be careful, students. Here they have asked about vertebrates. Here they have asked you to write the groups of invertebrates. So you have to be careful when reading and answering the questions. So write the 4 main groups of invertebrates. You know them: Cnidaria, Annelida, Arthropoda, and Mollusca. Or you can write Mollusca and Arthropoda. Here they have asked you to write the 4 main groups. Write 3 arthropods that can fly. So you have to write the arthropods that can fly. So here they have asked for 3 arthropods. What can we write? We can write beetle. We can say housefly, even that is an arthropod, an insect, beetle, housefly, and I will say butterfly. So you can also write the dragonfly, the cockroach, mosquito, anything that can fly, but it has to be an arthropod. So it has to be an insect. So were you all able to answer these questions? I am sure you were able to. Then with that, I will move on to the next one. Extra question 80. Write the name of a mammal that can fly. What is the mammal that can fly? Name of a mammal that can fly. It is the bat. Write the name of a mammal that lives in water. What is the mammal that lives in water? There are 2, dolphin and whale. You can write any one. I will say dolphin. You can also write whale. You can say blue whale, killer whale, anything is fine. Write 2 arthropods that live in water. Now arthropods that live in water. Can you think of the arthropods? The crab that lives in water, prawn that lives in water. So here crab and prawns. So here students, when you read, you have to see arthropod live in water. So like that, you have to look at the question carefully and write the answer. So write the name of the mammal that can fly, bat. Write the name of the mammal that lives in water, dolphin. You can also write whales. Write 2 arthropods that live in water, crab, prawn. Any one of these can be written. See, here they have anyway asked for 2. You can also write lobster. Lobsters are also arthropods that live in water. That is also correct. With that, the next one. Extra question 19. Here of course there are pictures given to you. Identify the animals given below. Answer the questions related to these animals. So what are the animals? A is a jellyfish. B is a ray. C is a tortoise. D is a dolphin. E is a snail and F is a crab. So we have identified the organisms. So they haven't told us to write the names. You have to identify. If you like, you can just write the names also. Identify the free-floating cnidarian. What is the free-floating cnidarian? It is jellyfish. So I will write A, jellyfish. Because they have said identify the animals given below and answer the question. So A is jellyfish. What is the name given to the body form of the cnidarian? You mentioned above. What is this called? The free floating one. It is the medusa. Write 2 vertebrates that live only in water. 2 vertebrates that live only in water. So what are the vertebrates? Now B is a ray, that is a vertebrate. C tortoise is a vertebrate. D dolphin is also a vertebrate. 2 vertebrates that live only in water. If you take B, ray, yes, it's only in water. So we can write that as one answer. So ray lives only in water. If you were given a shark also, you can write that also lives only in water. This is B, that is ray. What about C? If it was a turtle, yes, it lives in water. But normally tortoise and turtle, they can live on land as well. So it is not only in water. So you can't write that answer. What about D? Dolphin, mammal, that lives only in water. So D is dolphin. So that lives only in water. So ray and dolphin, they both live only in water. Now this question continues. Then the fourth one, identify the organisms that possess an exoskeleton. Exoskeleton. Look at the question, exoskeleton. Now A, jellyfish doesn't have. Ray, no. C has a shell. It has a shell, not an exoskeleton. D doesn't have, it's a vertebral column. E has a shell. Again, E also has a shell. But F has an exoskeleton, that is crab. Crab has an exoskeleton. Identify the organism that possesses an exoskeleton. So that will be F, that is crab. Crab. Identify the invertebrate that has a shell. Now you have to identify the invertebrate that has a shell. Invertebrate that has a shell. Now we said C has a shell and E has a shell. But C is a reptile. It's a tortoise. So it's a reptile. It is not an invertebrate. E is the snail. That is an invertebrate that has a shell. So here the answer has to be E, that is snail. So those are the animals. Were you all able to identify and answer the questions? Yes. Okay then. So I will move on to the last question. Write the groups of the animals given below. So look at the question. You have to write the groups of the animals given below. So when you look at the first one, you know it's an earthworm, but you know the group is Annelida. So that is what you have to write here, Annelida. Then this one, it is a prawn that belongs to group Arthropoda. Then what is this? It is a hydra, a polyp. So it has to be a group Cnidaria. Cnidaria. Then we have this snail. Snail belongs to the group Mollusca. Mollusca. Then what about this? It is a jellyfish. Again, group Cnidaria. And this one, it is a butterfly, an insect. So it is Arthropoda. Okay. So we identified the groups: earthworm Annelida, prawn Arthropoda, then Cnidaria is the polyp, then snail Mollusca, again jellyfish Cnidaria, and butterfly Arthropoda. So I am sure you were also able to identify the groups and write them correctly. So with that, students, I have come to the end of the extra questions as well. So this is the end of the second lesson of your science textbook. That is animal classification. So I am sure you understood the lesson well and also you were able to answer all the questions. But don't stop with that. Again and again listen to the discussion, read your textbook and practice answering as many questions as possible.